Welcome to Culture of Paint. In this episode, we're going to take a look at what's caught our eye over the last couple of weeks in the miniatures painting world. For the main segment, we're talking to our special guests, Gert and Robert, who are going to talk about one of the most well-regarded miniatures painting shows in the world. And we'll close the show out, as usual, taking a look at what the hashtag Paint Cultists have been up to. Now, Culture of Paint's aimed at a mature audience, and we will definitely use foul language and might discuss explicit topics. Now, let's talk about paint. And we are back. I feel just from the brief 5-minute chat with Robert, I definitely needed to reinforce the explicit language warning on there before we get taken off from that one. But we're there, the chat's there, we're all there. Lovely. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. I'm Henry. Joining me as usual are Matt, Andy and Rich. And as I've said, our special guests, Gert and Robert. How are we doing, everyone?
Bloody good.
Good.
Smashing.
I'm good.
It is
warm.
I was going to say it's a lovely warm evening here in our houses, not made for temperatures above 20 degrees Celsius.
Just to put it into perspective, I'm sitting in a log cabin in my garden that has had the sun all day, and I have no aircon.
It's pretty close to a sauna, right?
Essentially, I'm sitting in a sauna. Essentially, yeah.
It's very much building weather, not painting weather. I think
very much drinking weather.
But having said that, summer solstice, so happy that to all our Scandinavian friends. But also, we're halfway through the year. We're 6 months in.
Yeah.
How are the projects? Like, is everyone on track? I mean, Rich, you've painted a bunch of Kill Team.
I've painted an army for a while.
Andy's won some more golds. Matt's won a Golden Demon. I'd say it's been a flipping great first 6.
Let's end it here now. We've all been
done it. Goes over.
Hey, it might be better next weekend, right? Next weekend's the one. That's the big celebration. Well, so we'll see.
Here we go. Right, because we've got a load of us on, I want to just keep everything moving. So let's jump straight into what's caught our eye over the last couple of weeks.
So make sure I get it on the right screen. And first,
all right. Frantically look for the slides.
Me.
Oh, lovely. Well,
and me.
You picked this as well?
Yeah. Well, the three of us picked it.
Yeah.
It's a great account.
Yeah. World Eaters. It's the best Kratos I've seen. Enough said. I'm done. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's the first one I've seen that I've really liked. I mean, like, the heavy metal ones are cool, but this is painted how I would paint it myself in that sort of style. So yeah, it's made me want it. I didn't really want one before. Now I kind of do.
Agree.
It's a really cool size, that tank.
Yeah.
Like, whether you like the design or not, I guess that's it. But like from a painting point of view, it's just there's loads of stuff and space to do stuff, but you'll get it done.
Yeah.
Big fan. Big fan. And yeah, I think I found this account had posted up a squad of World Eaters.
Yeah,
I think that's GW staff. I think they actually used to design some stuff for
that'll
Forge World.
Make sense. Yeah, that'll be why.
I think they did art, so they did some of the color plates that we love so much, which is cool.
There's probably going to be a bit of a heresy theme because obviously this weekend, Horus Heresy 2nd edition was released, so we're starting to see all the frantic things people have been painting, and I think most of us are big fans. So yeah, that might be featuring a little bit over the next few shows, I suspect. It's also made the main cannon look cool. I really didn't like that when we saw the kit.
I thought it was a Dalek.
Proper dorky, yeah, proper Dalek. Yeah, but actually,
exterminate.
Really nicely done. So yeah, and I love the blue. Best blue I've seen on a World Eaters. Bar none.
Just spot on, isn't it? The weathering, the white, the blue, top marks.
Yeah.
Happy tracks.
Happy. Yeah, it's nice to see a lot more people going that route with tracks now. Sort of, it'd be even nicer if we saw them go full on and not use any metals at all, and go with it. But I love, a lot of people I've been seeing doing the sort of heavy dirt collecting. I guess there's a lot of products now that make that a very simple job to do as well.
Yeah, I think people are just a bit more. I've had a bit more practice with them and used them a bit more.
But I don't know whether you like. I've definitely noticed the last month or two. It feels like people like Mig and some smaller companies seem to be dropping a heap of sort of new weathering, products. Whether that's
they must be selling because there's
whatever.
new stuff every week, isn't there?
Yeah, and I do wonder because a lot of them seem to be sort of one-shot products. I do wonder if they're starting to see enough interest from gamers to sort of cater to them a bit more, rather than just a die-hard sort of scale model painter.
It's a bigger market.
Yeah, right.
Much bigger market.
Do you see many of these kind of tanks, like Games Workshop tanks at the SMC over the years? Because obviously you've got all the historical section. It's growing.
Yeah, because we see a lot more traders from that particular branch of the hobby. There's just a lot more coming. Also painters that are from that scene that are attending more and more. Yeah, you do find it. But it's just that what I said, the industry or the companies, they starting to look more into the gaming world, because it's just worldwide, it's just a bigger market.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I love it. I can't wait. More of that stuff.
Yeah,
gaming, the better. It's definitely our cup of tea on this on this show for sure. Right, what's up next, Matt? I've got a feeling it might be more heresy.
You'd be wrong. It's a bit of a double dip, though.
Oh, I'm really wrong.
Yeah.
Hang on, this looks very familiar.
Yeah, well, I have to justify this, but basically, this is someone I've been giving lessons with, and he said, I want to paint the Sigfold like yours. And I said, okay, but I need to tell you all the things I did wrong, and it needs to be better. So I'm really happy that I think he's done a way better job than mine. And he entered it into the contrast competition in Poland last weekend and managed to get a silver award. So that's I'm really happy with that. But yeah, it's way better than mine. So obviously I'm jealous, but it's really cool, right? So I had to share it now he's finished it.
Sword's amazing.
The sword jumps out, doesn't it? Definitely.
I think that's very much like inspired from Lan, that sword. So he's taken bits that we've talked about, and then inspiration from Lan and other painters he's liked. But yeah, I've sort of tried to help him, but he's done very well. So yeah, really nice for me to see. But yeah, I had to share this one.
That's all right. Double dips all right now and again. I hadn't realised the chat's going off. It's great.
Is it?
Love to see you all here. Everyone's sort of agreeing that it's miserable painting in anything above lukewarm temperatures. What's going on? James saying, watched a YouTuber do a build of a Tamiya 148 F14 Tomcat last night and is feeling the need for speed. Yeah, I'm guessing given that amazing movie that came out the other week, we might be seeing a bit more people dabbling in the planes.
Kickstarter on Cool Mini or not, won't it? Top Gun the game. Gotta
be. Fire that one out. Where are air conditioning? Yeah, whatever, you people with air conditioning are disgraceful. Okay, good stuff. Right, sorry. So what's up next? It's all right, it'll be over. I think it's like Storm's end of the week. We'll be fine. Okay, so I guess this is my kind of cheeky one.
World Eaters Week.
This is an old model and an old paint job, years old now. I've been lucky enough to see this model in hand a few times. And this is our friend Dom from Australia, from the very, very strong sort of Melbourne heresy painting scene. They're all always pushing each other and stuff. And as I say, this is an old one of Dom's. Not to say it isn't brilliantly painted, but he's got a stunning looking World Eaters army. But I noticed that he'd got in the White Dwarf article about the World Eaters this month, and he was really happy about it and was just saying, it's since a kid I've read White Dwarf and I've got to be in it. And I think maybe something that we've got to experience as we're now in the industry, we are fortunate to appear in publications and things like that. And I think maybe I'd forgotten the buzz from the first time you get to, you get to pull it off the shelf and see your stuff in print and stuff. So I just wanted to shout him out really and say well done, because he's worked his arse off on, you know, he does loads of painting classes, tutorials, all this, just works hard and pushes himself. And it's meant that there's him and probably about 5 other people in that scene that are just, they're constantly striving to see how far you can push sort of army painting before it becomes silly, you know. And I think, be pretty amazing events to go and play at if things are of this quality. So and it's World Eaters, looks amazing. So.
Yeah, I'm getting strong World Eater ideas.
Yeah.
So great work, Dom. And I imagine we're going to be seeing a lot of Leviathans soon.
Yeah.
So what's up next?
So next up is
Tiny Planes.
My pick.
Here we go.
Yeah, wanted to surprise with something as a crossover towards the event we'll be talking about later on. But yeah, to be honest, I originate from a gaming side as well. But I'm following this account for a while, and it's amazing the things he does with the 144 scale.
It's crazy, eh?
Yeah, very.
So
yeah.
I love
to start on it.
I love photos where people are holding them. It's something when we ran the online competition a while back. It's something that me and Matt had to go through many photos of people's hands just holding this miniature. Like, right, let's try and crop that out. Let's try and get
I feel like I give someone a manicure now with all the nails I've
right.
seen.
Yeah. Although this one at least is helping give a sense of scale, right?
Definitely.
I think that's important in this picture, to be honest, because without the scale, and I think I prefer a finger to the standard cent or penny.
Yes,
but that's what makes it amazing, right? It's the size, and it actually takes you. I think it's a nice photo. I kind of like the fingers in it.
It's fun, right?
Yeah.
And it's also a lot of conversion going in there, hollowing out all these things. So it's very impressive to follow what he's making.
So trying to do like super accurate at that scale, right, is a bit silly, isn't it? Like it's very challenging, yeah. Like,
yeah.
And also the best thing to paint, right? Because you can, and he will have made the noises. You know, so no matter what happens, you've at least been able to, you know, like
as someone that's not really done a lot of realistic military modeling, what sort of conversions and like alterations has he done to the kit? Do you know?
I think the full cockpit is scratch built, and if you just look at the canopy, which is pulled back, when you buy this, most of the time it's just a solid piece of clear plastic. So it's challenging to start working on that. And
that's amazing.
And then not to mention the radio lines, of course, and. It's not in this picture, but I've seen things on his account where he actually completely builds scratch-built motors with where you can actually almost see the cylinders going. So that's crazy.
So cool.
Mad.
I look forward to that one day, getting that level of obsession. It's going to be fun.
You're not there yet, mate. You got to be there in some way.
Not there soon. I'm getting there. Next year's a big one, so maybe that's that I'm allowed to buy my first whatever, and then really go down that route. But no, I love it. I love it a lot.
Slow, man. The first, like when you buy a historical tank, you'll buy like metal tracks, and then after that you'll buy metal barrels, and then after that you'll buy
I have watched countless tutorials on painting real metal tracks. I've never bought a metal track. I don't really have any intentions of buying a metal track for a long time, but I just love watching it. Like when they dip it in the different solutions. It's just beautiful.
Burnishing liquid,
There's a YouTuber called Plasmo on, and he does all these amazing, like realistic conversions where he'll take the kit, but then the detail he adds is just
that micro detailing is. I do get the appeal. Actually, someone's just said in the chat that they wonder if companies like GW are going to start potentially adding a bit more detail to vehicle kits
And they kind of have with that. What is the new truck thing with all the wheel arches and stuff?
Yeah, and there's actually proper suspension assemblies and stuff. Yeah,
or the other way around, third party marketing that brings out metal tracks for a Rhino, for instance.
Yeah, man,
that'd be cool.
That would be beautiful, right? Rather than having to try and find a vaguely the right scale, Tamiya kit or whatever. Brian's saying in the chat he reckons T34 tracks would probably work great for the Heresy vehicles, and some love for Plasma. I'll have to go and check that out.
So good.
And yes, Uncle Nightshift doing anything is amazing. Correct.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Well, that's what next weekend's all about, really, isn't
right,
it? I think
it really is.
Yeah.
Correct.
So next up is I had to go in with a Marine because everyone picked the tank.
Yeah.
No, I really appreciate a nice, crispy, well done Marine. Yeah, Drew Pales, he's a brilliant painter.
I also think this is the best model in the set.
Oh yeah.
It's a real next generation of Marines, but still has a lot for nostalgic fans, I think, to enjoy. But yeah, I think I can't wait. Obviously, I did mine differently for that army box, so I can't wait to just paint super basic guy up like this. Say basic, out the box sergeant guy like this.
Yeah,
But
I love
it. Drew's great, isn't he? He's always posting stuff up on his account. It's a really active one. It's well worth following. We'll make sure we put all of the accounts and things we talk about in the show tonight, guys, will be down in the description for you to go and check out and give them a follow. But yeah, the old Womble Marines.
They're back.
Orinoco.
Yeah, from the Brother Sergeant Orinoco. Yeah. So, have we got one more?
No,
we're done.
We're
good. Right, beautiful. And no meme. Oh no. Surely there's been some interesting ones.
There's been some spicy memes this week, but
I bet
don't think anyone we
Perhaps
could...
that's best we don't. That's best we don't put any up.
Yeah. Nah.
Right. So the main topic: World Model Expo / Scale Model Challenge. For those of you that don't know, and we know a lot of our viewers and people that consume our tutorials and all the rest of it, your backgrounds can generally be in Games Workshop miniatures and possibly competitions such as Golden Demon. We've seen over the last few years the sort of explosion of online painting competitions. That's great fun. But you've also got a handful of truly established, I want to say landmark. They're in every serious miniature painter, competitive miniature painter has them in their calendar. And we're lucky enough to be joined by the organisers of one of them, which is Scale Model Challenge, but also this year World Model Expo, which the guys will explain in a lot more detail than I will be able to. So why don't we go over and find out a little bit about these two gentlemen that have been joining us for the last 20 minutes. Right, this is the sort of the hobby credentials side of things. Robert,
yes.
What's the background? How on earth did you end up going from painting or collecting a miniature to now running an enormous great show?
Good question. At one point, I originate from scale modeling. Military models. Tanks, dioramas is still actually my main passion in the hobby. And as such, I was visiting shows in Holland when I started 250 years ago, I think. And the only thing in Holland was an IPMS show, and I don't know if that rings any bells, but they have a certain approach on shows and modeling that didn't exactly match my taste and flavors and whatever. And working in Belgium at the time, I was visiting Belgian shows because I think the scene there is much more lively and much more up to date and up to speed, and quality was much higher of the models that were exhibited. And I thought, what they can do in Belgium and what they can do in Holland, we must have something like this in Holland. And basically, I was very disappointed by the way the IPMS show was done, because it looked like just an average flea market. I mean, that's how I always put it. I wanted to say with respect to all the other shows, but there is a difference between what we have now at SMC and what was or still is currently going on. So I thought I could do a much better job organizing a show in Holland. So that's what I did. You know, we started the club in 2007 with like-minded people, and I think half a year later we had our first SMC. It was in a school, and the Graphic Lyceum in Eindhoven, and we were there for 3 years, and it had a certain charm because you had a lot of rooms and a lot of aisles, and it was a kind of a labyrinth of where. But anyway, that was nice. But anyway, from the first show on in 2007, it was very successful. And from there it grew. And then in the fourth year, in 2010, 5 or 6 weeks before the show, we moved to the current venue. For some, well, I won't elaborate on the reasons, but I decided to move. Well, it wasn't a school, right? And it's in October. So when you do the preparations, you do that all year, and then you come back after the summer holidays, and then you find that everything in the school has been changed. The lockers have been moved from a terrific place that we were moved towards a fantastic place where we actually needed the space. And there was just a lot of hassle, and I was kind of upset, and I drove to the current place where we are, and the conference center, and I asked, do you have space for a show in 6 weeks' time? And they said, yeah, we do actually. And so that's how it happened. And we moved. And from there on, it actually grew. But it become, it just started because I wanted to show something that a show could be better than it was at the moment. And that was the main reason why I did that. And by now it kind of grew into I wouldn't call it a monster, but it takes up a lot of time and a lot of my bench time as well. So yeah, but
absolutely.
Be careful what you wish for, is what they say. So yeah,
but it's a great,
proofs in the pudding. Yeah.
It's a very, I think we see it in our industry, and I'm using that as a very, very broad term here. But our industry is modernizing. And there are individuals and organizations within it that want it to be a modern thing and want all the good things that goes along with that. But it takes a fuckload of work because not only have you got to do the stuff, it's changing people's mindsets, isn't it? I think an awful lot of gamers / modelers / painters are often just willing to put up with stuff. So actually pushing and saying, no, it deserves to be better. It deserves to have this level of standing and quality and this, that. It takes a lot of work. And we should also say thanks very much again, because it's a hell of a lot of work and you're 1 week out. So, thanks for taking a bit of time.
We had 3 years to practice. So
that's very true. That's very true.
In theory. But actually the last 2 years, and Gert probably knows that as well, we haven't done that much really. And the final go for this year came after, what was it? Yeah, February, I think.
January we started preparing
a little bit more, but because of COVID, we still had to be careful. And what we did. So there were a lot of things that we postponed, where we normally would have done things that we normally would have done 4 or 5 months before. Mm-hmm. So everything piled up in the last 3 months. So, and that's a lot of practical stuff, but I won't bore you guys with that. It's just what happens, and I think Gert can tell you that it's actually the case.
Well, indeed.
So here, let's talk to you for a sec. What's your perhaps you can give us a little bit of your hobbying background, and then if you wouldn't mind sort of telling us about SMC, and then take us into how it is different with World Model Expo coming this year.
Okay, so I started originally also as a military modeling, but that lasted until my Revel glue and paint block brushes were done. And at a certain point, I think I was 12 or something, on a holiday in France, I walked into a local GW store and got hooked on that.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, exactly. And that led me to being one of the Belgian Dutch Outriders team.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years further down the road, and there I met a couple of friends with whom at the moment that GW terminated the program for the Outriders support, but also we were organizing together the Grand Tournament in the Netherlands. And it was terminated due to GW stopping the program. And with a couple of friends, we got together and said, "Yeah, we don't want to have it end like this." So we went on and did 40K and fantasy tournaments for quite some years. And I really got close to a couple of the guys that I, per chance, ended up in their Outrider team. And so one of those guys, also a really painting fanatic, encouraged me to attend a workshop in Utrecht back then by Mathieu Fontaine.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Is his handle, I think. And that triggered me to amp up my painting game, which was always more my interest than the gaming, than purely the gaming. I play and I enjoy, but the hobbying, the painting is much more my thing. And as I was lazy traveling all over Europe, I got together with another friend and said, well, if they can organize this in Utrecht, I can do it better.
It's a common theme.
No, I had a friend who had a venue available, and so we started organizing workshops. So as a first workshop, we organized one with Massive Voodoo, so we invited Roman Lapat over. And then we had two guests from Eindhoven, Robert and Margot.
Yeah, we were there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how we got to know each other. And then also the ball started rolling. So a couple of friends started attending SMC. And I kept on organizing workshops. We first started attending, I think, as a club. And at a certain point, Robert invited me to lend my expertise in organizing the workshops, and so he just asked me, "Can you take that off my back?" And from then on, I think we're 5-6 years in now, with of course 2 years break. I've been contacting the people that we invite for teaching the workshops at SMC, but also organizing, getting all the outlines done, things like that, just to get that part of the show also to a higher level.
Beautiful. Well, we've mentioned
it worked very well, because I think the workshop program is one of the interesting key points at the show. And of course, there's still, from, if you look at the total number of visitors, it is it's a good number of people that attend the whole workshop program. It's not the big mass, but it's for a lot of people a good reason to come, a second 2 days, to come 2 days instead of just 1 day. So I'm very happy with the way it worked out. And it was also because before that we had special guests at the show who performed demonstrations. And we found that after some time, the attention at those presentations or demos became smaller. People don't want to hang around for an hour and a half just watching somebody doing something. Although it can be very, you can learn something from it. But a lot of people don't have the patience anymore. So that was either the choice of doing hands-on workshops, which worked. I think Andy, you did a workshop at the show.
I was going to say I did it. It was great.
So it's for a lot of people, and we try to keep the numbers of students limited to what is it, 15? I think generally 12 to 15. because we want to give the most of attention on those 2.5 or 4 hours, whatever the workshop takes. And people seem to be happy with it because, from what I see at the World Model Expo now this year, next week, most of the workshops are sold out.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
great.
Yeah,
yeah, and I mean that's our background as a company has come from running painting workshops, and it's again it's quite focused towards gamers, Games Workshop in particular, miniatures painters, but. And you see these large conventions where there are tons and tons of workshops and they sell out, but it's lovely to have it at an event which is just there to celebrate, the miniatures painting and all aspects of that. It's you're no longer going to be the sort of niche paint nerd that's going to the big tournament to go to a painting class, right? You're amongst friends.
Yeah. True.
And
I think you're touching there on a very important point, because at the end of the day, it's a very solitary hobby, and these events become so much more than just the sum of everything that happens there. But it's really a community again, and to be honest, it's a lot of people that I've missed for the last 2 years, and I'm now looking forward to seeing back in a week time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know it's something we ended. I mean, before obviously the interruption of the last few years, but we were getting to a point where we were having people coming back on workshops, on classes with us who'd done that class a couple of times, and you're like, why are you coming back? Like, have we been that bad at teaching you? Like, what's wrong? And they'd be like, well, we just really like hanging out, like, for the weekend and talking to other people that love the painting side of it as much.
Yeah.
And exactly as you're saying, it's that, gamers have that. There's grand tournaments, there's this, that, and the other. It's really nice that there's more and more now for the painting side of it to have that level of community. I always hear about the way Andy talks about things like SMC and Monty. I think I can't wait to experience it. I've only ever experienced the classes, again, within the context of a wider gaming event. So I think we sort of spoke about the show a bit now, and sort of as asides. Why doesn't one of you actually just run us through briefly what it actually is? What is SMC? What's the deal? I turn up on this day, and this is what happens. Yeah.
Well, this is what happens. We have about 6,500 square meters. Don't know how that rules out in feet, but anyway, 6,500 square meters of show meaning that we have a huge commercial area, so with lots of traders I think at the World Model Expo now, it's about the same number of traded stands that we have on SMC. Don't know how that figures, but anyway, it's about 150 different stands, and there are a bit more vendors because some of them share the stand. But anyway, so that's about 150 stands. So there's a huge, it's a great opportunity to get rid of all your money in one weekend. And I know of people that really save up for SMC, just spend shitloads of cash.
Absolutely. I get that. Salute. That's my thing. Salute in the UK. Like, I look forward to that every year, right?
It's just, what I always wanted was that, it's just a one-stop shopping, because at a lot of shows you go there and I just want to buy paintbrushes, or I need a certain paint, and it's never there. And of course, you can't cater everybody's needs, but honestly, I think at SMC, and perhaps Gert can also acknowledge that, I think most of it's there. I have to say, with the gaming industry, it's growing. It's not that we have huge Warhammer stands or whatever, or Games Workshop stands, but there are now people that sell Games Workshop stuff as well. So. Or other stuff. There are a lot of small companies, 3D printing companies, or just a lot of it. So that's one big part of the show. At SMC, we also have a pretty huge club appearance from different clubs from all over Europe. At World Model Expo, we don't have that. So that will be different because.
And would that be when you say displays or whatever? Is that are you talking about enormous, great dioramas effectively, or is it displays of painted models? How does that work? What are these clubs?
Well, the clubs they usually they have their stands and they sit behind the tables and work on the models. Some clubs just have a show stand, just a display of the work from their members, so really nice show stands. And some clubs just looks like a construction pit, the stand, because everybody is working on it or supposed to be working on it, but it's just walking around at the show. So the tables are empty, and they have some of the models on display. So it varies a lot. But one of the things is that the clubs have a function, I think, that where visitors visit the club stands and ask questions about the hobby. I mean, it's a very low, how to say that, very easy to talk to.
They're very approachable, sitting there behind the desk, and
that's what it is. And so that's a big area at SMC. So not as much as we do have some club display stands, so really show displays. From a few clubs at World Model Expo, but at the SMC we have about 50 or 60 clubs as well.
It's enormous.
And then obviously there is a huge contest at SMC always, and World Model Expo it's always a bit bigger than everything else because it's the sort of, they call it the Olympics of modeling, painting. Mainly because it's not an annual event, the World Model Expo, but every 3 years in theory, if there's no COVID. So we have usually at our contest we have about 2,000 entries, of which let's say 2/3 is figures and 1/3 is scale models. Scale models being everything from ships to planes, tanks, whatever, and dioramas, Gundam, the Mac stuff, everything. And then of course there is the figure painting side of the competition, and there's a huge historical painting turnout, but also a lot of fantasy, which includes a growing number of painters that originate from actually most of the fantasy painters nowadays originate from the gaming hobby.
That's where they took
all the big names. They've all won their Slayer swords. They've all won their Golden Demons in the past. And in the past, I mean, when TV was only in black and white, and there wasn't even a Games Workshop, I think. But these guys have also been around for what, 25 years maybe, or I don't know what. So yeah, I learned that along the way as well because I wasn't too deep in that matter. But yeah, I learned that as well. So yeah, there's a lot of history in fantasy as well. So yeah.
So when it's SMC, is there a larger weighting towards the scale model stuff? Is it World Expo that generally will bring far larger fantasy and figure entries, or?
Well, let's say for this year, for the World Model Expo, we closed the pre-registrations for the contest last Sunday, and we have over 4,000 entries. Yeah.
Wow.
Jesus.
Good luck judging that.
There'll be some competition for you there. Yeah. Yes. So and there will be some more additional ones, and probably some that won't show up in the end. But so let's say it'll be like 4,400 at the end, maybe. But we'll have to see. But it's huge, and the majority is figures because there are much more figures. There are a bit more scale models than we usually have at SMC, but the number of figures is crazy, and it's about 50-50 historical fantasy.
Right.
Wow.
And I've seen a lot of entries, for also from the gaming side, in fantasy. So yeah, there's just lots of it. and yeah, so that's a huge difference, and 4,000 is a lot of stuff to handle.
Yeah.
So there will be a large jury, large number of jury.
It's been evolving a lot, Robert, since the first time I attended an SMC.
Yeah.
The figures and fantasy painters was a minority.
Yes.
Now it's grown enormously over the years.
So that is as someone who is, I think I accept competitive painting is not my jam. I've tried it. It's fine, but I have a huge interest in events and sort of community organizing like this. Is there any particular reason or trends that you guys have seen doing all the organizing, why you think it has gone more towards figures as opposed to scale models?
Well, I think one of the reasons is that the world model, when we applied for organizing the World Model Expo, one of the reasons was to attract more figure painters, because the World Model Expo originally is very much orientated on figures. That's what it is. We tried to change that a little bit. It's not so simple because it has a certain reputation. And the other thing is that at some point, Margot, my wife, she started painting figures as well. What was it, maybe 8 years ago now or whatever. And at some point, she started traveling a lot. We travel a lot to shows abroad, a lot. And Margot even more than me. I think there was even 1 year where she did, I don't know, 12 shows in Italy, Spain, France, or whatever, and most of them and in Moscow, and I don't know where I don't know where I send her, but they were all figure based shows. And what we found is that if you really want to attract more people to your show, you also have to visit their show.
Right.
At some point, you just have to meet people. You can't just sit back and just wait for people to come, or just shout something on the internet, or things like that. So yeah, you do need to promote your show heavily. I mean, I've seen shows decline that just failed to do that and just sat back and waited for stuff to happen, and it just doesn't happen like that. And one other important, well, I don't know if that's the main or very important reason, but we split the best of shows. Before, in the beginning, we only had one best of show award, and then we split it up into best of show for scale modeling and best of show figure paint, figures. And now we have 3 best of shows: one for scale modeling, one for fantasy, and one for historical.
Oh wow!
I love that.
And do you have a bestest in show from those 3? No, it's just three equal.
Well, we had a lot. We had a best of we had best of standard and whatever as well. But I decided last year that because we were planning to do an SMC 2021, which didn't happen. But I decided to skip all that crap and just stick to 3 best of shows, because it's always difficult. Honestly, one of the things is that the best of show is always picked by the judges, and we have a lot of judges always, but the ones that remain until the end are usually the figure painting judges, because especially in the masters category and especially in fantasy, these girls and guys take a lot of time to make up their bloody minds to finalize their classes. So at the end, and so if they start voting by just by the scale model judges are usually under represented. It's their own fault. But and I think if you look at a best of show, which usually has, well, in my opinion, it's very difficult to make to select one best of show from scale modeling and figure painting in general. Well, not everybody agrees with that, but yeah. So at the World Model Expo, there will be only one best of show. There will be.
But I
Because there are
think
different rules. There are different rules there, and they're not always necessarily ours. But in this one,
on that point, let's talk very briefly then about how it works with World Model Expo. Then, so you mentioned sort of applying, as it were, to host it. So you've got SMC, well-established show. You've already spoken. There are a ton of painting shows all over Europe and all over the world, I'm sure. But I mean, there's no getting away from it. Europe is a hotbed for it.
Yep.
It's easier for lots of different people to get there, for one.
Yep.
That's just what it is. So how does World Model Expo exist in this scene?
Well, originally it started, I think, I'm not really sure. I think it was 86 or something, or 84. I'm not really sure, by some renowned scale modelers like Shepard Payne. And they sort of set up an international show with a different kind of judging system that wasn't apparent at the time. And they wanted to have that show every 2 years in a different place. In theory, once on the American continent, next time on the European continent. So I think the first one was in Washington. No, I can't be sure. Boston. I don't know, but anyway, it was in the States, and they changed the system from like what they do at the Golden Demon, like a 1, 2, 3. So there's 1 gold, 1 silver, 1 bronze. That's it. And that was also common in every other type of contest. And what they came up with was that you can have as many as golds as there are pieces that deserve a gold. And in theory, no piece is judged against someone else's. So it's basically, that's what they call it, the open system. And what you do is, and that's what we do at SMC as well. Suppose you put in 5 figures in one class. All these 5 figures are being regarded as one display. However you present, but you put them together, and it's your display. And the best one of it, or your entire display, could also be, gets a medal or doesn't. But anyway, it gets a medal. So in one class, you can get 1 medal. That's how it evolved, more or less. And if you enter in different classes, you can still get more medals. But in one class, you can only get 1 medal, and you're judged by your display. And your pieces are judged against the current standard, but not against another piece in the contest. So there can be multiple gold, silvers, bronzes in every class, which is also a way to stimulate attending contests. The thing is that some people consider it to be the Oprah Winfrey show. You get a medal and you get a medal and you get a medal, and but that's not really the case.
Those people are idiots and don't get it.
But we usually have an average of about between 23 and 25% of the attendants get an award, being gold, silver, bronze, or highly commended.
Now, am I right, Andy? Am I remembering it right that one of the SMCs you've done, you've got the award for the class, as it were, that you were entered in, but didn't you get like another? Aren't there like mini? Am I imagining it? Aren't there like mini?
Specials?
Yeah. How does that work? Yeah, talk about that. Am I remembering it right? I'm not sure if I do.
You're asking me?
Did
you get Andy? Did you get a platinum?
No, I will accept one though. And next time.
I think, Robert, they're talking about the special awards awarded by different clubs and shops and things like that.
Because you do an SMC award at like the Mosen show and stuff, don't you? And do you do one at Monty as well? You do like stuff like that? Yeah. Usually when we attend shows, we bring a few medals, or usually SMC medals that we give to certain. That's what we did at Moson as well in Hungary in April. So we give, we just look at certain categories in the contest, and we award medals, or just to give a special prize. And that's what a lot of clubs do. I don't know if that happens in England, but here on the continent, it's very usual to do that.
That is awesome. When Andy showed me, it's just, again, it's that everyone's in it, aren't they? Everyone's together. It's recognizing it as a scene that's a sum of its parts, right? As opposed to this competition is in competition with, another one, because it could be perceived. I think some people might, why is so and so giving an award away at our show, kind of thing, But I think it's such a great example of the attitude with these painting shows, and how that it really is different to what an awful lot of people have experienced when it comes to painting competition.
There's only one thing that we changed over the years at SMC is that we don't give them on stage anymore, because the award ceremony and those attended takes bloody forever, and
a long one. It's a big
one. We try to speed it up, and that's why we said we only award the gold, silvers, and bronzes. The highly commended pins people can collect between 1 and 3, and the special prizes are put on the table with a nice card next to it. That congratulations, you won. It's been offered by this and this club, or trader could also be, and they add it on the table. For World Model Expo, we said we can't do that, because with 4,000 pieces, the tables will be so bloody full that we don't want to take the risk that people destroy something. I mean, we do have more contest tables in space, but still 4,000 is a lot. So insane. That is insane. And we just have to, we just want to be very careful. So we said, okay, for this event, we cannot do that. We're very sorry, and we really appreciate it, but it's just just for practical reasons, we have to refuse it this time. And, I feel sorry for it, but, that's next year on SMC, everybody can give whatever they feel like, and we'll be happy to accommodate that. But at World Model Expo, it's just not possible. And it's mainly to protect the entries that are on the contest tables. I mean, that's our main.
The photographers are going to be run off their feet.
Sorry?
The photographers for 4,500 entries.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't mention that.
Hey, Matt, you should do that job, mate.
Go up. Yeah. Well, for the award ceremony, we photograph always only the golds, because otherwise it's going to take forever. And so that's what we're going to do now as well. So, but yeah, it's a tough job. Yeah.
Well, it's worth saying we'll pop in the description the link to the Scale Model site. There's an amazing history tab which has got photos of previous entrants and winners. There's just some proper mind-blowing stuff in there. I just wanted to touch back on the whole open style of awards, and I know that's something when I was first told about it, I was like, this is brilliant, like this is how it happens in other things. And someone has just said in the chat, isn't that how they judged Chelsea Flower Show? And that's my experience of it. I got silver gilt in Chelsea Flower Show back in 2007. I was part of the team that worked on display there. But anyway, but it was, I think it's just another example of that strange isolated bubble miniatures painting and hobbyists seem to exist in. But it's so nice now that to see competitions taking that open judging, on board, and I think you're right. I don't see the negative. This idea of it's prizes for everybody. It's not. What I like is that potentially, I'm not saying it ever would happen, but potentially you have a show where no one wins a gold, right? If something's not good enough, it's not good enough, right?
It happens. It happens. It happens.
And I just feel, this isn't a sport. This isn't somewhere where someone's turned up on the day and run the race of their life. It's not how it works, right?
I heard on a podcast that's run by two Americans that have pretty much a lot of history in the World Model Expo. They quote Shepard Payne, so the originator of the World Model Expo. They always quote him, and apparently he always said, he passed away a couple of years ago. He always said, if you want to compete, play tennis.
Yeah.
So I think that's nice, but competition. There is a tendency of people that say, okay, well, competitions are I don't like the competition part, but trust me, everywhere I go, and we've been to Contrast the other 2 weeks ago in Poland, 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody, the majority of people like competitions.
Yeah.
Whatever you think of it, and whatever the value is, because it's always a certain moment that 3 judges judge your model, under certain circumstances. And next day, if there were 3 different judges, maybe the outcome would be different. You never know.
Mm.
And judging is by default. It's subjective.
And I'm not saying this would happen, but is it common for shows to announce the judges quite far in advance? Like, is there the potential as the industry grows and as these competitions grows and gets healthier and everything? Is there the potential to have people paint to judges they know are going to be there? Paint to that judge's taste, or is this just unrealistic? Is it given the time frames involved, or
might
that
be
type of thing?
We publish the names, but merely to show that we take it seriously and we want judges that know their shit.
Give some credibility.
Yeah, that's the reason why we publish the names, but we don't announce which classes or categories they actually. So I don't really think that happens.
And it's most of the time a group of judges, not one. Okay,
And
there's
it's always
a head judge,
three.
but so there's a combination of tastes and.
And there's always 3 in a team, so and you try to balance
3
that.
per category, is it? So each category has its own team.
Yep. Well, at World Model Expo there will be, because like in the fantasy masters painting and fantasy and historical masters painting, there are so many entries that we have 2 teams of 3.
Wow.
So they split. That we split in historical masters. You have A and B. So A is judged by that team and B by that team. But yeah, because judging over 600 and 50 figures in one of them.
I hope
that's insane.
Like, I hope people watching this show that are largely GW painters and are excited about Golden Demon and things like that. I hope it's as mind blowing, right, to hear these numbers as it should be.
Well,
there are painting shows with thousands of entries.
The thing is with judging is always it's really a hard job, trust me. And if you have so many entries in one class, I mean, at the end, I was joking about that they're always finished last, but these are the 2 biggest classes also at World Model Expo. I think for historical and fantasy masters painting, it doesn't really. There's not much different. They're about 600 in each, or more than 600 in each at this moment.
That's my category.
Yeah, and some people put in some in the wrong class because they put something in diorama class, but diorama is what they call ordnance, so for scale modeling. So it's the wrong class. So I think we still have to move a couple to a figure class. But anyway, yeah, that there's going to be a lot of them. And even in what they call the open class, it's basically for scratched figures, for unique pieces, unique and painted pieces. So one-offs or whatever. There's still a couple of hundred in each, so there's a lot to judge.
That's awesome. That really
and what we also do at World Model Expo, because the World Model Expo rules basically exclude non-painted figures, so traditionally sculpted or 3D sculpted, unpainted. So what we kind of pushed was to get, because we want to acknowledge the sculptors as well, because without sculptors there wouldn't be any painters, right?
Absolutely.
So we kind of forced them to accept that we have a special SMC Green Award class, which is mainly for sculpted pieces, and there are, I think, over 100 in there as well.
Oh, fantastic!
From some of the bigger names in the industry, so that's going to be very promising, I think.
Wow,
that's very exciting. Here, someone's just asked in the chat how you go about teaching a workshop. I'm assuming there's a link on the website or something and a form to fill in, but I don't know. Like, what's the deal? Do you have to be a name, or how's it work?
Well, most of the time we start with some brainstorming at at the end of the previous event to see
Day after.
yeah, how we want to fill up our teaching slot, and we try to balance a little bit. So it's not always easy because with the rise of the figure painters, we also noticed that they are much more popular and gathering more ticket sales for workshops than typically the more traditional military modeling side. And sculpting is also something that's rather difficult to teach in this setting, although we're amazed by the ticket sales that we had now for I think Patrick is selling very good, but we try to base ourselves, of course, on the name for a part, but also listening around, and because more than personal skills, teaching skills is also a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a lot of good painters.
Absolutely.
There's not that much good teachers.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. And that's great. There's someone curating it as well, like that. You know, I think as you know, if we want the industry, if we want these competitions, if we want these events to become more professional, you know, not dry, not boring, but just genuinely valuable, then you need people organizing those. You know, you need a cat herder, right, to coin a phrase, you know. But it's exactly as you said. There's you know, I think I've been to shows, I'm sure lots of people have, or even been to classes that you pay for, where actually all you end up doing is paying money or time to watch someone very good paint something. And sometimes you can pick things up from that, absolutely. But the difference when you come away from a class where the person has been able to teach, you know, and actually impart knowledge and help you understand something that you didn't understand before you went in, that's enormous. You know, and you hear, and that's when the talk begins, isn't it? Oh, did you go to so-and-so's class? Oh, you've got to try and get to this one, and you know, and it's exciting. And then hopefully what you then see is the fruits of those classes in following competitions, right? Where we see styles and people mimicking styles, you know, and I mean that in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know.
There's a danger in that as well, because we've seen sometimes that there were workshops that I personally organized, and then you see next SMC the mini that was used in that workshop turn out 15 times in a very similar style.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean,
at least I did something with the knowledge. That's a good
yeah.
Practice.
Oh no, that's really, really nice. It's a good response in the chat to the open style. I know when me and Matt particularly were talking about when we did the MPO over lockdown and everything, and what we as Cult want to do with it going forwards. You know, it was your guys' system. You know, hearing about how it ran, that was just so inspiring as a way to just change that attitude to a painting competition. You know, it's so ingrained over here in the UK, I think, particularly if you're under 30, you know, well, more than that now, under 35, and you're in the UK, it's Golden Demon, right? If you paint miniatures, it's Golden Demon. The knowledge of other shows is just not there, and that idea of it's so sad, but you hear people go, "Oh, I'm not going to bother entering because so and so's going, so what's the point?" You know,
there's a new one now as well, huh?
Right? They're all popping up, right? Which is awesome, and hopefully we're seeing that everywhere. You know,
isn't Fat Milner organizing a show now? One of the guys, Andy. There was one a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, whatever.
Yeah, the Fen model show.
Yeah, Fen model show.
Had apparently got very good reviews. I've seen from a few people.
We were at Contrast in Warsaw the other day, and it is. I think it's a show with a high potential, but they actually originate from the Hussar contest. That was a couple of years ago, and I was talking to a few of the guys that were involved at the time, because basically that venue where Contrast is now it's a new one, but it's across. Well, it's it's 50 meters across from where Hussar used to be. Apparently, I never visited Hussar, but one of the things they said was that a lot of Polish painters have been discouraged from entering contests because of Hussar, because it was so damn hardcore and so brutal and ruthless judging that everybody was turned down. If you're not if you're not a Michał Pizarski, or or not a Karl Rudik, or Krzysztof Kowalczyk, you can't. You're never able to win a medal. And now at Contrast, they really want to go more to the open system.
Yeah,
and they asked us for a lot of advice. Okay, if people want advice, we give it, and they can do with it whatever they like. But they really picked that up. And a couple of the positive things were that there were a lot of happy faces because there were more people winning medals, and justifiably so. I mean, not just because, but it was justified. And another good thing was that there were a lot of female painters that won medals at the competition, because I think the level they had a very, very good level, really.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I can only recommend people, if they really want to go somewhere else, Contrast is a way to go. And Poland has a very large gaming community as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
there are a lot of painting studios, of course, but at Contrast there was also a lot of gaming as well. Demo games, competition, traders as well. It's not a huge show yet, but I think they have good potential, and also the open system. So what I was trying to explain is that between Hussar and this one, it's really important, I think, to promote that people enter competitions, not so much because of the medal, but because a medal, like I said, it's just a moment. Just it's a picture that
be part of something bigger, right?
Yeah, you have to motivate people, and by just giving one medal in a class with 600 entries, I don't know. It's a bit.
The open system also feels like you're in a competition just with yourself. You try to do better than the last years, and where I see Golden Demon, for instance, more as a subtractive kind of competition, where entries drop off by the mistakes that are seen. Here it's more an additive. The more good things you see, the better you score, and both have their place. And
absolutely.
True.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I kind of like the idea of there being one or two just horrible hardcore shows, it's because but they can exist so long as you've also got plenty of the other style as well, right?
Probably.
I think one thing that's important though is, and me and Rich experienced that, is we've been, with the open system, like Robert was saying, I think people could think, they're giving away loads of awards, maybe it's easy or whatever. But myself and Rich have brought Golden Demon winning stuff and got nothing in the open system. So there's unlimited bronzes, as many bronzes as you want. we got nothing. So and also, when people are like, "Oh, is it easy?" I point out some of the huge names that have got bronze awards. I'm like, this person's got bronze, and they're like, okay, that's not an easy competition, right? Like, just because there is, in theory, unlimited golds or whatever, it's very hard to get those. So it's still a difficult competition.
The humble pie we ate that day tasted very good.
Yeah, it's
nice.
It's just different. And one, I think's, I like to do both. Obviously, we talk about Golden Demon loads on this podcast. Me and Matt are super passionate about it, but I also love SMC and Monte Sansevino. And my typical year, when there's not some pandemic or whatever, is I love doing that Golden Demon in May, and then I normally paint figures that are Games Workshop, building up to October, where SMC normally is. And then you have SMC October, Monty in November, so they're close together. And I do those shows, and then I start working on the Golden Demon again. And I love both those styles of show. And I just think if you are someone who wants to do a competition, that they're just so amazing. These, SMC, the World Model Expo will be Monty. They're just so fun. The open system isn't easy, but it's also encouraging. I think that's the important thing.
And you mentioned Monte, but one of the things that is very attractive in that show, and what also is one of the, I think, the key elements of SMC, is the whole community gathering and basically getting drunk together. To make a long story short,
That's it.
Well, I mean, we happen to be in a huge convention center where everything is under one roof. So if you don't want to necessarily, you don't see daylight in 3 days, and you're still happy when you come out with a huge hangover or whatever. You can speak to everybody, you can have a drink with everybody there, and that's what in Monte also happens. Although there it's usually outside, but then again, that's not a punishment, and it's just a nice it's a great environment actually. And there you also see that a lot of people from the community just gather and just have a nice drink on the square, or 2 drinks or 3 drinks or whatever. So it's just a great place to be.
Just look at models and have a drink. It's a great weekend.
I need lots of carbs.
Yeah, loads of carbs.
Don't forget the carbs. Yeah.
Will's just asked a question, so I think as we sort of start to wrap it up, and as I said, you guys are a week out right now. How long does it, after the show ends, does it take you to relax and enjoy it, or can you enjoy it being there?
Never.
Well, Keith already mentioned it, huh? The next day we already start.
There we go. You're always planning.
Thinking about the next one.
Yeah. So for the wickets.
Let's talk about the next one. And this one hasn't even happened yet, but it's been a bizarre few years. There's been a lot of time to think. What are you guys thinking? Are there any little bits that you would like to talk about now, or some ideas or visions for where it's going for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and so on?
In 20 years, I'll be dead and buried. I am that old. The way that we're moving, well, there will be an SMC next year because it's already planned. I think it's October 14 and 15. 14 and 15?
Yeah, 14, 15.
I put a sneak preview of the new poster already on the website. Yeah. So, but where is it going? It's difficult. I don't know. I think it's a bit difficult because the world has changed a little bit, and I'm not sure if it will ever be as it was before COVID. Especially not with all the price increases. I'm a buyer from in my profession, and we do business in Asia and everything else, and you just see, prices going up, and well, everybody knows that flights are getting more expensive. So I'm not really sure. But then again, when people said wait until cigarettes cost €5 a pack, people will stop smoking. And I doubt if that ever happens. So, so things are going to be more challenging, I think, in the future. But as long as there is a growing community, and I think there is a growing community, mainly coming from the gaming, because that's where the younger people come from.
Yeah. Well, and not to dwell on, the harsh reality that is going on right now, but hobbies such as ours do generally do well when there are these situations going on, so as you say, hopefully we, it's that idea of, I just wish, I don't know what it's like, if I grew up in France or I grew up in Germany or whatever, and I was into the hobby, would I be aware of all these shows that go on everywhere, or is it the unique thing in the UK where it's so Games Workshop, or maybe not. And I would just love it to
I honestly think that some people, when we go with our club to the annual IPMS show in Holland, and we have a banner up for the next SMC, and we have the flyers with us, and we're there now since 2007, right? And then people see it and they think, oh, there's a show? Is it a new show? So some people will live under a rock forever, I think, and never get out. But my one of the targets that I have for the future for SMC is that we just promote the show more and more and try to get a wider audience and try to get it more renowned amongst people that have no clue that there are other shows, because there still are. I mean, if you look at scale modelers, if somebody said in the Netherlands there were I think 500,000 or 1 million scale modelers. We have 18 million people in the whole country, and that includes everybody that once built a model. And I think 99% of it, maybe 95% of people that paint or don't even know the existence of stuff like shows, competitions, whatever. So I think there's still a big challenge for shows like us and everybody else to attract more people and to make it more renowned, and that there is an actual a live community outside of your own workbench.
For sure.
I think people don't know how good it is, and I was going to say, like, back to Henry, your last point is I think a lot of people might get into Games Workshop and they're in that kind of bubble. And I think once you burst out of that bubble and maybe paint another manufacturer's figure, or you try one of these shows, you're like, okay, this is amazing, and it's just trying it for the first time. But yeah, I think the reason I really wanted to get these guys on to do this is just to get a couple more people to go, because it's just an amazing weekend. Eindhoven's amazing. There's 4,000 models to look at, and you have some drinks. It's just the best. So why wouldn't you want to go? It's unreal.
It's a great time.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Excellent. Well, all the details are up on the Fabulous website. That'll be in the description. And yeah, it's far easier to click that than me try and explain it to you. But I know that we're planning to do a lot more with shows over, the future, really. So this certainly won't be the last time that we're chatting about SMC and World Model Expo as well. I think that's all the questions from the chat for you guys. Was there anything, Andy, Rich, Matt, you wanted to add before we close out with some paint cultists?
I think it's all been covered.
Can't wait. I'm pumped.
Yeah, it's exciting, right? Oh, and if people want to see the results and the things that have happened or follow the event, social media, that's going to be the best one over the weekend? So
we'll make a video.
There will be some live streams as well.
Yeah,
there will be podcasts from the Sprue Cutters Union, which can be found everywhere. They'll have some live podcasts, some live interviews as well. But there will be various stuff there. I mean, we're not that tech savvy actually, but yeah, it's going to happen. So and afterwards you can find a lot of stuff as well. So
but you guys are coming over, so the Cult of Paint show, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I'm going to make a video for sure. I'm going to document the whole weekend, and
I'm super sad that I can't get to this one. I'm really good.
I know. We're bummed. We should be there with a great big stand with loads of miniatures, but fuck the world at the moment. We'll be there next time. Right.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Let's close out then with the usual last segment where we have a quick look at what some people have been up to using the hashtag PaintCultist. It's predominantly on Instagram. You've got over 10,000 posts to go and have a look at. If you're looking for a hashtag to follow that might expose you to some different miniatures ranges, different painting styles, that type of thing, just follow it. There's amazing stuff on there. And there's not too much rubbish either. Like there's the odd spammy thing, but I try and stay on top of that. Generally, it's just wall-to-wall, amazing painted models and sculpting. More sculpting's turning up on there. And all I do every couple of weeks is grab a few that caught my eye and share them with you all and get your reactions. So what's up first, Matt? And I can never remember the ones I picked, so it's kind of a nice surprise for me as well.
First up.
Oh wow.
It's a really, really fucking good week, by the way, this one. Like it was hard to condense it down for sure. I love anything with orcs where it's not just green. As soon as you start getting other colours on orcs, I'm loving it. But being a Games Workshop fanboy, if it's still vaguely green, then I'm even happier because it's still in that wheelhouse.
I just think anything orc based, specifically any orc vehicle, is just the perfect thing to paint for a competition piece.
It's very you,
okay.
isn't it?
So whilst
Very
we,
me.
we got this opportunity. So yeah, Robert, while we got you guys on, this type of piece, is this something you'd expect to see
Why not?
at the show? Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
in the figures category, right? The fantasy figures category.
Yeah, could
Yeah, or
like I said,
sci-fi
could be anything.
vehicles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
stand out.
At SMC, we have more different categories than we have at World Model Expo.
Right.
So it's more split up into more specific areas. But yeah, we have a specific thing for everything fantasy, for vehicles that are sci-fi,
awesome.
fantasy, could be
Best
anything.
orc trike category.
Steampunk stuff, anything that can
amazing.
happen. You know, it's amazing.
Amazing. And again, what we talked about earlier, some of that weathering on the wheels.
I love the weathering.
You know, tracks and wheels. It's you know, I like trends. I like trying to spot trends, and it's definitely a thing that's coming in to like gaming miniatures painting. This is 100% is this weathering around tracks and wheels and things.
Well, it's almost compulsory, right? And it's just that knowledge. It's good.
But it's funny to me, like it's such a. If you paint a tank, you look at how you do this to running gear and stuff. Like if it's your first fucking tank, right? It's good. This you will cover this on it, and it's just so funny to see that come over now. You Big Phil.
Phil Stachinsky.
Big Phil, the daddy. He's the reason I think most of us four are into that style of painting. Yeah.
And you know he showed everything in the book. I think that they published, but it never got a real following. I think in the scene, and maybe until now. I don't know.
We were talking about that. Yeah, like two shows ago. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, he was so good, man. Such a good hobbyist. Yeah, but love it. Got it in a box somewhere over there. Maybe one day. We'll see. Right, what's that next, Matt?
Next up.
Oh, colours.
Ooh, that's cool.
There's a critter in. You missed all the critters last week.
Yeah, this is usually good. Well, there's an artist called Pascal Blanche, or Pascal Blanche, I think is how you say it, and he just does these amazing sci-fi pieces, 2D artwork, and this is the type of colors, this is the type of palette he uses, and I've been really fancying painting a miniature in it, in that style, but this was, you know, when I'm flicking through like however many hundred of things there's been since last show, things like this jump out, right? And it's really nice that when they jump out and you click on them, and then they're really nicely executed as well. And it's a critter, so it's going in.
Reminds me of Dave's box art he did for our Heerguard with the square water, right?
And just the amount going on down in the water, right? That takes some guts, doesn't it?
Guts,
to do a resin pour and put that much stuff down there.
Yeah, not for me, mate. Not for me. I'm not doing that again.
Stressful.
I think there's a story behind that, Andy, or not?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you when we're there. I'll show you.
Next week.
This is the kind of energy I'm guessing that, Robert, you have on the morning of, say, midday Friday of World Model Expo, when people haven't turned up when they said they were going to turn up. This is a good representation of that, right? That frog is raging. So yeah, is not impressed with your bullshit, that frog. So yeah, remember that. Right, what's that next, mate? Gotta have a marine. Gotta have a marine. So
this one's great.
I've got to try and remember now. Not only is it nicely painted in this account we featured before, there was I think I want to say this competition was, you had to do a marine from this made up chapter or something like that.
It was a different chapter. It was not like the main ones, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was some reason around it. And yeah, I've seen these helmets, these Blood Angels Forge World helmets, used on a few Primaris projects, namely one I was talking to Andy about earlier, actually Thunderwolf, and they just, it's remarkable the difference the helmet makes with these Marines, isn't it? You stick a different lid on them, and it's a very different vibe to that that normal Primaris one. And
It
yeah, I
says
mean,
in the description, it was a competition to create something featuring their custom chapter, the Angels of Soul.
There we go.
I love Liam's stuff, man. He's the best.
He's such a good painter.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? And it's a nice blending of styles as well, isn't it, that he does? Yeah, it's just...
Liam, get on the plane to World Model Expo next week. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, don't be a pussy.
Right, what's that next? And speaking of weird, or different styles, this is something that since we've been doing the show the last 2 years, this is something we've been talking about more and more, this sort of cell shading-esque thing. And now it's coming in, and it's not just mecha stuff, right? We're now getting...
I just realised
it's
me.
It's Rich. That's Rich on the Sunday of World Model Expo, right? That's by the time it's gone through it. But it's just... It's so exciting seeing these different takes now on miniatures. And it's a real mindfuck as well. When I was looking through the thing, you try and pick the picture, and your sort of focus is going in and out a bit as you're looking at it and trying to identify it. It's just well, I've got to give it a go. We should give this a go. Like it's the most.
Mate, it's on the list of 1,000,001 things I want to give a go.
Do you not feel like it's the most unusual style of miniatures painting?
I think it'd be the most unusual one to paint. Because I think it'd be one of the hardest if you've never done it before, and one of the most unusual things to try and paint yourself. 100%.
It's a total mindfuck. I did try on one of the Gunpla things, and it's crazy.
Yeah, that's where I think I'd try it, because at least there'd be a few bits of inspiration for that, and you might well have some artwork, right? You could use. Exactly. Whereas presumably this is just out of someone's brain, to come up with it. But yeah, love it. And I think there's one more. Is there, Matt? Two more. Oh
wow!
So this is one of my favourite accounts. I followed for a long time, but I wanted to look at this because we've mentioned it before. This, online has completely changed miniatures painting and how we're able to consume it and what people are doing. And I think we need to start recognizing the skill in how how stuff is presented now. Using that medium as a bit, and I don't just mean people who whack the saturation up to 20 in Photoshop and overexpose and the rest of it. I'm talking about using it to create some atmosphere and stuff in a piece, and that's way back to what we talked about on episode 1. This idea of miniatures art being art, and I just thought this was a great example of just a really nice composition and presentation and execution.
Just adding that glow, right?
Just that tiny little letter, right? And it's just great. And I think what I like about it as well is that you couldn't do that glow obviously with OSL because you can't paint the air. But
it's
also what gets me is this person. I'm not saying they do. I don't know. So I might have a concept, right, for how they want to present a piece. But they may not have the skill set to execute incredible OSL, right? But actually, there's got to be a blurry line, right, between where you can present it, basically where it becomes doctoring it and where it becomes presenting it, right?
Adding, right?
And to me, this only adds to this piece. This doesn't make me think, this person should have painted more OSL or whatever. But I just,
because you can see what it would be like without it, right? It's not making it unreadable, because you can see all of the miniature and how good the paint job is, and you think, okay, he's got that one OSL element, and he's added that to it, and with the black background, that's really cool. So it's really nice, and it just makes you. It's like looking at a front cover of a book, and it makes you immersed in the Warhammer world.
Yes,
and actually that helps you. Get immersed in these characters, and it's kind of obvious that it's been done. It's kind of
right. Yeah, it's not been done on the sly. Yeah.
It's not like
the saturation.
Mm-hmm.
Got bright orange thumbs.
Or the neon green cutting mat. That's
Yeah.
always a good one. Like
That's a good
Tron,
one.
like you're hobbying on fucking Tron. Right. So you said there was one more.
One more.
I cannot remember what it was. Ah, well, talk about OSL. I think, if I remember rightly on the caption, this is an older paint job, but this person has basically got themselves a decent camera set up and learned how to take photographs. So they're going back through some of their old miniatures, and I think this is something along the lines of, this was a miniature they weren't necessarily that fussed about when they did it initially, but now they're able to get a good photo of it. It completely changes the piece for them. They're satisfied, they're happy. This is how they want it to be viewed, kind of thing.
Like background.
I mean, I'm always a fan, but it's just creepy and cool and weird. And
I can imagine you wearing one of these masks.
I'm all up about that. Well, mate, speaking about Salute earlier, I mean, you need one of these walking around fucking Salute, don't you? After about 20 minutes.
SMC is much nicer on the
much better. Yeah.
I'd say,
More civilized.
Civilized.
Hasn't been.
That's an insult. That's an insult. We don't want to be civilized.
I've been given cheese and wine at SMC, just
Blimey.
walking around, so it's bloody civilized,
That's
all right?
By the French.
Was it the chest of colours stand they give away the cheese and wine? Yeah, that's bloody brilliant. That is.
Well, there's the advert. That should be on the front page, mate. That's how we get people. That's how you get them there.
I was like, cheers. Just walking around, like eat a bit of this, some of that, a bit of mini.
You should visit the Italian stands from the guys that make the plinths and whatever. There's cheese, there is grappa, there
Get
is
salami, don't you?
Oh my god! I can't wait!
Buy a plinth when you get a swig of wine. Then.
Brilliant. It's the future, mate. I'm telling you. So there we are. That's it for the paint contest. So another nice eclectic mix. If you'd like us to have a look at your work, we just want to share it with people, use the hashtag. If you want to get in touch with us for any reason to talk about ideas for future shows, things we should look out for, we're on all the usual social medias and things. If we don't get back to you, I'm really sorry. Try my hardest. If you really, really want me, email. It's older, it's boring, but at least I'll check it. Check out all the usual things. Chat, you've been awesome as always. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you're watching this back later on, I really hope what we wanted from this episode, other than just to chat to these guys, was to just expose and draw attention to the community. If you're a painter, that it is more than sitting at the desk on your own. That it is more than on your phone on Instagram or whatever. If you want this, as you say, cheese and wine, 3-day cheese and wine party, and look at some nice painted miniatures, right? That's the tagline for SMC, right? That's what it's all about. Do go and check them out. And there's a lot out there, and there's a lot of great ones out there. Thanks, chat, for joining us. And if you're watching this back later, thanks for watching it back. Andy, Matt, Rich, as ever, you're amazing. I missed you the other week. It sucks a month's not doing the show. Just nice to, I know, right? I bet. What did you do? People picking cats with swords and things like that. But most importantly, Robert and Gert, thank you ever so much. It's just so nice to listen to people that give a fuck about all of this and are really pushing it. And I hope the 3-year wait has simply built the anticipation up. And everyone is going up there absolutely determined to have the most amazing time, and I'm sure they will, and I can't wait to see all the coverage that we get from it, and hopefully it's not the last time we get to speak to you guys. Thanks ever so much for coming on. Thanks everybody. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.